Good morning, Kylie from the Art House Factory. One thing that I'm noticing more and more is that people want to avoid the mortgage, and it's a fabulous goal. It's a fabulous goal. And that's why tiny houses have been so incredibly popular, because you get this tiny little footprint, but it releases you from the mortgage. So it's not necessarily that the houses are so tiny, it's a lifestyle that comes with it. And with that, if you're not working 80 hours a week to pay a mortgage for a huge house, all of a sudden you have time for your family, you have time for the kids, you have time for your hobbies. And one of the biggest things that I think is fabulous is you have time for your health and your well-being, because our current lifestyle, we are so busy pushing for the dollars to pay these big mortgages, to pay the transport costs because we're having to travel further to work. And these tiny houses have just triggered people's imaginations. So people want to release themselves from that financial pressure. And it's absolutely wonderful. Like I've said before, I'm a huge fan of the tiny house movement. And what's happening though is the tiny houses aren't quite big enough for a lot of people, because we tend to have stuff. A lot of people have kids. I have 2 adult children and a grandchild now. So I understand what it's like to try and fit all of this, kid stuff into a small space. And so people really like the idea of that financial freedom that the smaller spaces give them, and the tiny houses are a bit too small. So that's where you need to then step up to compact design and have a look at the options for compact design. So one of the real benefits of the tiny houses is you can just wheel it into someone's yard. Some councils will accept that, some won't, and they are portable. Now, if you're looking at a compact design, which is something that does need to go through council and things like that, you get all of these extra benefits in that, depending on how it's built, sometimes the manufacturing can be of a far, far higher quality for a site build. You get the benefits of the environmental compliance, which is a must on your site build. Across Australia, there's environmental compliance laws that apply to site builds, but not to tiny houses. So you've got that extra bonus in terms of it's far more sustainable and it's enforceable. So that sustainability is enforceable, which means that the base quality is far higher. So that desire that we all have to release ourselves of that financial ball and chain by going tiny, which is why the tiny house movement has taken off so much. It's also possible with your tiny house not your tiny house movement. What am I talking about? Your compact movement. Happens with your tiny house, yes. Also happens with your compact movement. And they are bigger buildings for people that the tiny houses don't quite suit. So have a look at your compact design, learn a little bit about it. If you love the idea of getting rid of the mortgage, being able to utilise backyards of people's houses, have a look at your compact design, because most councils now will support infill development. And that's the secret phrase. It's called infill development. They call them additional dwellings and granny flats and things like that. And most councils are on board now, so that you can take advantage of this space people have in the backyard that they're not using, and you can do it in full compliance with the council or with your environmental compliance, all of those sorts of things. So your compact design can also tick that box to help you create a far better lifestyle with more freedom. So if you have any questions, by all means hit me up here and we'll have a talk about it. We'll talk to you soon.